Hope you're okay. As you can see, it's another bad hair day in Johnny Land. Anyway, thanks for being here and welcome to my weekly video blog post. My name is Johnny Matthew and I am a social worker and criminologist and a writer and blogger at johnnymatthew.com. You can see that behind me on the screen. So welcome. I produce a weekly blog post on the website, and that usually goes out on a Sunday evening for people to get on a Monday morning. So this is my weekly video version of that. So welcome if you've joined us. And if you're watching this on the replay, welcome as well to you guys, and I hope you get some benefit from this. So today, I want to summarise the blog post from the weekend, and the subject this week was to do with dealing with harmful sexual behaviour in children and young people. And I spent a long time working as a specialist in that field, and still do at times. And it's a particularly challenging field, brilliantly rewarding field, and it's one that's still emerging in terms of research and our understanding of the issues that underlie it, and how best to go about helping children and young people who are dealing with it. So what I thought I would do is try and give you guys some ideas, really, some things that I've picked up along the way, having worked with, dealt with kind of over 800 cases during the time I was doing this full time, and just thought I'd share some of the things that I learned, really, about how to stay sharp in a field which is moving forward all the time, with the research is emerging and practices developing, and sometimes it can feel like we are running behind the work. So I just thought I'd share some of that. So I've got 6 things that I'd like to share with you. Just to say right at the beginning, this is not because for a second I think that I know it all. I mean, I'm acutely aware that I don't. But I know that lots of people these days, social workers, youth offending team workers in particular, are dealing with sexually harmful behaviour, and it is a challenge because they're dealing with it amongst a whole series of other issues. So I wanted to kind of give you guys some things that might give you a bit of a heads up and help you to stay ahead of the game despite the kind of busyness and everything else that you're doing. So there we go. Let's dive in. Just to say, if you want to share the love and send me some hearts, you can do so. If you press, I think it's the bottom right hand corner of your screen, which should be about here, I think. If you tap around about there, it's difficult. I've got to think of it the other way around. I got this wrong last week. If you tap down here, it just lets me know that you're there and you're happy, and it's a bit like a friend. Well, hey, thank you, orange heart person. It's nice to have a bit of feedback, because I'm sitting in my lounge on a very sunny day thinking, am I speaking into the ether? So it's nice to know there's at least a couple of people there. So thank you for that. Okay, so let's dive in. So 6 practice tips relating to working with harmful sexual behaviour. Number 1, read the specialist journals and other related research. Read specialist journals and other related research. Now, this is kind of, in some ways, blindingly obvious, but it's so easy not to do it, and it's particularly easy not to do it when things are busy at work, when we're caught up with remembering the things that we've got to do, decisions that need to be made, meetings we need to be at, and so on. So taking some time to do that can be quite tricky. The best place to start, if you're in the UK, is to read the NOTA journal, the JSA, the Journal of Sexual Aggression, which isn't a title to leave around on the coffee table when you're having a party or your friends around, the Journal of Sexual Aggression. But actually, it's a brilliant journal, and my friend and colleague, Professor Stephen Smallbone, is the current editor of that and doing a fantastic job with it. So I'd encourage you to start there. Also, there is Sexual Abuse, the Journal of Research and Treatment, which is the ATSA journal, ATSA, Association for the Treatment of Sexual Abuse, which is the North American sister organisation of NOTA, the UK, National Organisation for the Treatment of Abusers. So those journals are great. I think of them really as being like the horse's mouth. You're going direct to the source of very up-to-date stuff, where all the leading researchers and emerging researchers are publishing their work. There's often a lot of discussion on there, which is helpful, because often I'm left with questions having read a paper, and it's nice to know that other people have got similar questions and that those are being covered. So I think if we're really serious about developing our practice, we need to be reading the JSA, really. It's well worth it. And I think, I suppose it's remembering that idea that those who read are the ones who learn. And when we want to learn about a really specialist area, like work in SHB work, then we need to be reading the specialist stuff. So number one, read the specialist journals and the other related research. You can also pick up loads of links actually from the journals. If you're reading one paper, you can check in the referencing and often find links to other things. I remember doing a very complex case some years ago about, it was an animal abuse case, and it was quite a specific remit for the assessment, and nobody in the organisation had done one before. I couldn't find any literature on the subject easily, and I went to the journals, and by cross-referencing managed to find something that dealt with the links between maltreatment of animals and possibly crossover into violence towards people. There wasn't much of it, but that was the place to go. So I think of that as the horse's mouth, really, and the place to go. So read specialist journals and other research. Number two, connect. So get on social media. I try and be as involved in that as I can. I know lots of other people do. So I'd encourage you to get on Twitter, even if you're not interested in putting things on there yourself, or you're not a big person for social media. You don't need to be. You don't need to actually be proactive in adding to the conversation, but you can listen in. And the beauty of things like Twitter and Facebook in particular means you don't really need to be someone who's proactively part of the conversation. It's like being a fly on the wall whilst people who really have a lot to say carry on saying it, and we get to listen in on it. I quite often find that people will post links to articles or resources or other really kind of interesting bits and bobs, and just by being aware that they're there on Twitter and doing a little search, so go on Twitter and put hashtag SHB or hashtag sexual abuse and pull down tweets from all over the place. And you have to sift it a little bit. There's a lot of junk and rubbish, stuff that will be less relevant, but you will find those real golden nuggets that are well worth doing. So I would definitely check out Facebook, and I would check out Twitter for those. Twitter in particular I find really handy. It's also worth, if you can, to check out the blog posts. The ATSA blog is really good. So there'll be, I think it's about weekly or fortnightly, there'll be a blog post on there from prominent researchers in the field, really worth listening. Kieran McCartan and Dave Prescott, for instance, are key in putting that whole thing together, and it's really top quality stuff. And again, it's not necessarily very long, in-depth research stuff, but it's stuff you can read quite quickly, and it just is kind of food for the mind and food for the soul when you're dealing with this stuff. To read something, it just puts a little bit more fuel in your tank. So read the specialist journals and other research, connect on social media, and try and just connect with the big hitters. It keeps you abreast of breaking news in the field, so that's good. So read, connect. The other one is join. Third one is join. And what I mean by that is join one of the affiliate organisations. For UK and Ireland, join NOTA, nota.co.uk, National Organisation for the Treatment of Abusers. What I love about NOTA is it's a way of connecting and locating yourself within a field which is made up of people who are spread out all over the place. And just by being a part of an organisation like that, immediately you feel more connected and in touch with others. I quite often have email conversations with people I'm not even sure I've ever met sometimes, but it's just really nice to be able to connect with other people. The NOTA website is helpful. There's a links page, there's a resources page on there. There are also links to the different branches. So if you become part of NOTA, there are branches all over the UK and Ireland. And I'm involved in the Wales branch. We have a an annual conference and other get-togethers, and that is the same for colleagues in Scotland and England, Northern Ireland and the Republic, and it's fab. And just to say, if there's anybody in NOTA, or if you're replaying this at NOTA, the NOTA conference is happening now as we speak. I was supposed to be there, but had other things come up, which meant I couldn't. So hello to everybody in Dublin. I hope you're having a fab time. I'm sorry I can't be with you. I'm eating myself up with envy that I can't be there. But anyway, I hope you're having a fab time. I look forward to catching up with colleagues and finding out how it's gone. So join NOTA. If you go to nota.co.uk/register, you can get the membership information. I think it's about 65 quid a year or something like that. But that will get you the journal as well, which is fab. And it will get you access to the members area of the website. And if you think about it, for the sake of a £5 a month, £5.50 a month or whatever it would be, it's an absolute bargain. So I'd really encourage you to do that. So thanks for the love, thanks for the hearts, appreciating those. Welcome. If you've just joined us again, or you're picking up on the replay, my name is Johnny Matthew. I'm a criminologist, social worker and writer and blogger at johnnymatthew.com. We're talking today about, it's a summary of my weekly blog post, which comes out on Sunday evening, Monday morning. And this week's blog post was about some practice tips just to stay sharp around the work with harmful sexual behaviour. So we've covered 3. Read the specialist journals and research. Connect with prominent people in the field on social media, and join an affiliate organisation. It's a minimum investment for maximum benefit. Really worth doing it. Just to say as well, if you wanted to share this broadcast with your friends or other people, or on your own Twitter feed or whatever, all you need to do is, if you're on an iOS device, an Apple device, if you swipe right to left on your device and then scroll down and hit the share button, or if you're on Android, all you need to do is swipe up and do the same, scroll down and hit the share button. That'd be great. I'd appreciate you putting this out to as many people as you can. Okay, so 4th one. This is where it starts to get juicy. The 4th one is open up. Open up. And this is really a plea for vulnerable practice, not just reflective practice, but vulnerable practice. And what I mean by that is this: I think practitioners who get really good and who stand out are those who are not precious about what they do and what they know. So it's partly about giving, but what I want to emphasize today is opening ourselves up to the scrutiny of others. So scrutiny of colleagues, obviously, people we trust, people we know who won't delight in the opportunity to stick the boot in. But I think it's really important for us to... I've just realised I haven't got my microphone plugged in. I'm sorry, guys, you must be struggling to hear me here. Big style. Let me just do that. There we go. That's better. Sorry, that's probably been really poor. Anyway, so it's a plea to open up. People we trust, people whose opinion we think is going to help us, and to ask for their view on how we're doing, what we're doing. To maybe ask them to sit in on a session or review what we're writing. One of the things I used to try and do from time to time was to give my reports to people to proofread. So not to my manager or the one whose job it was to proofread, but to other professionals, peers, or even those who I was supervising, to say, listen, have a look at this, red pen this for me. And I just think I'd find some really helpful comments coming back from people whose emphasis was maybe a bit different to mine, whose skills maybe lie in slightly different areas to mine. And I just find it broadens your opinion. It helped me to think a little bit more widely about what I was doing. And I think it's really good practice to proactively seek that input and to open ourselves out. So we're going to read the journals, we're going to connect on social media. Thirdly, we're going to join an affiliate organisation. And then fourthly, I'd encourage us to open up, seek out some of that golden objectivity that can be quite hard to find. So then fifthly, which follows on a little bit from the last one, is to question. And this is, I guess, really about holding our practice up for personal scrutiny, so that we ourselves are always asking the why question. Why am I doing it this way? Is there a better way I could do it? Or why am I doing it this way for this young person? It may have worked for the last one, but maybe there's something I can do that's slightly different for this young person. And maybe I could do a better job by tweaking things a little bit and making some adjustments. Why have I used that particular phrase? Is that phrase in this report the best way to summarize this situation? So proactively being almost suspicious of our own practice is a good, really good positive thing. See, we all fall into habits and shortcuts in the way that we work, and if we hold those open for question, I think it guards us against that idea of bad habits emerging, of taking shortcuts that are just shortcuts. They're not actually a better way to do things. So I think it's a good practice to be as questioning as we can be. And I'm not advocating for huge self-doubt here or beating ourselves up. On the contrary. But I think when we know that we're in a specialist field, and we know that quite often we're working in isolation, and we know that we're working under pressure, each of those perfectly valid and understandable pressures can impact the way we work. And so it's good to not be lazy and proactively open ourselves up, not just to other people, but to question what we do and why we do it. So I want to encourage that. It keeps us from bad habits and lazy practice, I think. So we're going to read specialist journals. We're going to connect on social media. We're going to join an affiliate organisation and open ourselves up to others for scrutiny. We're going to cultivate an attitude within ourselves whereby we question our own practice and are very open to doing things in a different way. And lastly, bookmark and collect. So bookmark and collect. What am I saying? Well, I'm saying that because we're in a specialist area and because quite often we're against the clock time-wise in what we've got to do, it's really useful when we do discover good resources to keep hold of them. And so I would just encourage you to do simple things like opening a folder on your machine where you keep a material related to SHB. I mean, I have a huge library of things now, which started off as a simple folder for harmful sexual behaviour research and ideas. That then got split down into work with adults, work with children. Then that got split down into work with boys, work with girls. It got split down again into work with adolescents, works with younger children, direct work, less direct work, CBT orientated work. And then it absolutely mushroomed into a whole library of things dealing with social work and mental health and child protection and all the stuff that relates to SHB work, where I've got material I can go to straight away to draw upon when I need it. And it saves so much time. So I'd encourage you to do that and set up a bookmark folder to do that if you're on in Google or Internet Explorer. So that will sync with your other devices and you can use them on the go. I'd keep this personal, not do it on your work machine. The chances are your work machine will struggle with this anyway, so you may not be able to do it, but certainly on your own tablet and phone and your home computer. I strongly encourage you to do that and start collecting. If you've never come across Evernote, or if you're a user of Evernote, do it in there. Go to evernote.com. It's a fantastic, it's like a digital brain. Evernote.com, and just open a free account. It's downloadable onto your desktop and your device. They all sync really easily, and you can keep an Evernote folder or notebook with all your stuff about SHB. So there's different ways of doing this. I have got a huge amount of paper files, and I'm in the process of trying to digitize that so that I don't have to keep it all on my shelves in my lounge. But it's a fantastic resource and really useful. And if I was writing a report week before last on a young adult who'd been dealt with previously as a teenager, who's now an adult, 18-year-old, and having children of his own, and then they wanted a reassessment. So I was needing to look at things around that, links between adolescent SHB and parenting or risk to younger children, all those kind of things. So it's helpful just to be able to go and do it. And you can do that if you become a collector. So open a folder, open an Evernote file, and you will not regret it. So there we go. I don't know if you guys have got any questions. If you want to comment, you should just be able to flick. If you just flick across on your, how can I do that? Okay, if you flick this way, left to right on iOS device or up on Android, and you should see the comments bar at the bottom. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to hang in here for a minute or two and try and help with those, or maybe even just facilitate a discussion. While you're thinking about that and putting any questions on screen, you can watch this again on Periscope for 24 hours. So there's still the option to share this and people can see it on the replay. The other thing that I do is I tend to record these videos as well on my own machine after the broadcast and save them to the website. So if you go to johnnymatthew.com/scopes, you can rewatch them and you can download the notes that I use, the little notes that I keep glancing across at on the right hand side of my iPad here. So you can get those. So in the absence of any questions and anything more that I can help with, just to say that I would love you to subscribe to the website. Go to johnnymatthew.com and you'll see in the top right hand corner of the home screen there is a couple of little boxes for you to fill in your name and your email address, and it just means it won't cost you anything. It means I can send you the blog post each week, and what I will do in exchange for your email address is send you a little ebook that I wrote called Connecting with Troubled Young People, and it's just it's a little free guide to making those initial connections really count, and it's not a technique thing. It's about how to make the most of who you are, your strengths, your character and personality, to try and ensure that those key moments of a first interaction with a young person are done to the best possible optimum effect. So go to the website and subscribe there, and I'll gladly send you that. The blog post comes out each Monday, and I hope you find it useful. So thank you for the hearts. Thank you for hanging in there with me. And I wish you well and have a great week, and I will be back probably next Thursday morning, and you'll be able to get the next blog post on the website on late Sunday evening, and if you subscribe I'll send it to you direct to your inbox. So thank you, appreciate you being here, and I'll